Joining us is the Nationals leader, David Littleproud. David, thanks for your time this morning. So on that trend, that makes you irrelevant as an opposition, does it not, particularly out on your own?
Oh, no. What it says is that the Australian people are angry. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for direction. They're not happy with the direction the Australian society and our economy is going. And so that opens the opportunity. An opportunity for a clear direction of principles and values, of standing up for those principles and values. That's what the Australian people are looking for, and that's the principal position we took last week when we wanted to vote against those hate speech laws that impinged on people's right of free speech. That's what Australians are asking of their political leaders. That's what we're sent to Canberra to do. It's not for pay or privilege. It's actually for the values that they want to see upheld in the Australia that they love. And they want to see get better.
Tim Wilson called your actions a tantrum, a stunt on this program yesterday. Has it backfired as moderates rally around their leader?
Well, no, I'll let people make personal assessments. I'll stick to the principles of what we did. We did nothing wrong. We wanted, as a party room, we got to a position that we could not support those hate speech laws. They are an overreach into the freedom of speech of Australians that has been fought very hard for over 100,000 Australians who lost their lives defending that principle. And we couldn't bring ourselves to vote it because we ran out of time. We broke no protocol. We had every right to go in there. And had I been given the opportunity to come to the House of Reps after the Senate, then I was going to vote against it, so I would have to have been sacked as well. So do the Nationals just be subservient and not have their own values, their own principles? This was deeply personal to our party room. We took the principled position. We gave a way out. It wasn't accepted, but we're more than happy if there's a way to reinstate those three and to get the coalition back to what it was before we left. We've left on principle, not on personality. Right. And this is where the National Party has had the courage to back ourselves and not
right. There is such a thing as cabinet solidarity, though.
Well, there was no process, and I made that very clear. I've never been in a cabinet or a shadow cabinet where a piece of legislation does not go through shadow cabinet first, then through joint party room, let alone even a leadership. We got that legislation, Peter, just to be very clear, at 6:18 a.m. on the Tuesday morning, and were asked to vote on it by lunchtime that day. A very complex piece of national security legislation that went into people's right and freedoms of free speech. Now, I don't think any Australian would expect us to just blindly give a tick to something that hasn't been scrutinised, that hasn't been scrutinised properly. So this was about principle. That's all we got to, and we couldn't get to that where we had comfort about this bill not overreaching. Now, I can reconcile in my head every day that we've made our decision on principle, and I'm proud of our room and how we got to that decision, but we're pragmatic and calm about what we can do moving forward.
OK, so will you have Nationals portfolios allotted by next week?
Oh, look, there's a lot to work through. We've had discussions with the Prime Minister's office, firstly about making sure that our staff that are there are looked after, because obviously we want to make sure that they're going to be looked after. I've got to say the Prime Minister's office has been very accommodating and understanding. So we've got a lot to work through and where we get to, but we're calm about that. We're in no rush. But we'll work constructively with anybody that's prepared to take the fight up to the Albanese government. We'll do that on the floor of Parliament and outside. How we get and what the mechanics look like is something that we'll calmly work through. We can do that, and I think that's what the Australian people want to see, is calmness. They want to see direction, and we'll get that right, and that's what the Nationals have shown on principles and on our values. OK, so are you in no rush because there might be a back down in terms of the coalition reforming? Well, we made it very clear, Peter, we left on principle, and that if the coalition terms and are returned to what they were before we were sacked, then we have no problems, and those three are reinstated. We've been very clear about that, and they've been very clear to the Liberal Party. Didn't you resign first, though? Sorry, that didn't come through, sorry. Weren't there resignations first? Didn't they come before they were sacked? They went with a letter from our party room saying that we didn't believe, we were very clear, and I think that letter's now in the public domain, Peter, that we didn't accept the proposition that the opposition leader held, that we'd broken cabinet solidarity because there was no process. So what we made very clear was there was a decision point for Susan Lee not to accept those 3 resignations, but if she did, then we'd done nothing wrong. We'd stood up for our principles, our values, and I'd rather go to Parliament and do that than to roll over or to let three of my colleagues take the fall. That's not how the Nationals operate. We don't leave anyone behind. We did this on principle, not on personality.
You were pretty gung-ho for a split last week, David. Are you softening the ground now?
No, we're very clear, Peter, and we've been very clear from the start that if the 3 are reinstated, the coalition goes back to all the terms and conditions that we had, that we signed up to in May. That was what the party room voted for, and that's what we've got. So we're calm about that. We're going to get on with the job of holding Anthony Albanese to account and showing that the Nationals also have an alternative, and we will do that with anyone else that wants to fight with us against Anthony Albanese and his government.
Right. Even if the coalition is reformed, can you be trusted to keep it together, though, because you've pulled the pin twice now?
Well, with respect, the convention of our coalition has been broken twice, not by the National Party. First time was that all the policies were abandoned, and the convention of the coalition is that they're taken out by exception after an election, and those 4 policies were important to the National Party. Again, on principle that we couldn't let go. They were important to the people we represent. Why go to Parliament if you can't get the policy changes that protect the people you represent? And again, this time, we stood up for our values and principles. We did nothing wrong. I don't think that the National Party can be... And while the commentary is very much that, this is all the National Party, well, I mean, I'm sorry, the National Party has a right to have values and principles and to stand up for them. And I'm proud of the fact that we did stand up for them. Why would we go to Parliament? We might as well just be a faction of the Liberal Party if we're not prepared to stand up for the people that sent us there. Now, it's uncomfortable. It's not what we wanted. We didn't leave in anger. We left in disappointment because we got to this juncture. But if you've got protocols, you've got convention, you've got rules, you should adhere to them. And we've acted with integrity all the way along our party room, and I'm proud of the way and the integrity that we've held ourselves and that transparent way that we've dealt with the Liberal Party all the way through this, and it didn't need to get to this.
All right, just a final question here, because I'm rereading Lazarus Rising, but John Howard, he had the opportunity to cut the Nationals from the coalition when he was in power because he had enough Liberal seats, but he stuck to the coalition on principle. When the going got tough, you ran for the hills, and now you've got senior Nationals who could lose their automatic Senate spots. Do you have any regrets about walking away?
No, we made this decision together knowing the full consequences, Peter. And it might be difficult for some in Canberra to appreciate this, but we're not there for privilege or pay. We're there because we believe in what we are trying to do to change this country for the better. I would have thought that's a more admirable aspiration to have, to send people to Canberra that has the courage of their conviction, despite the circumstances and knowing full well what those circumstances were, that weren't prepared to let their principles be tramped on. Their right to vote for something that they believe was going to do potential damage to our nation.
Even if that remains you staying in opposition for perpetuity?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, and I think if we're constructive and we know the ground rules, and we stick to ground rules. The ground rules that have been set even when John Howard had a coalition, if those rules are adhered to and respected, then the coalition can continue. But, you know, I don't think that the National Party should just walk away and give up on their values and beliefs. Then if that's what people, the commentariat, think we should do, then there's no point of us being there. And, you know, I believe what we did was the right thing because we believe that this was wrong legislation and it was rushed without us having the time to be able to scrutinise it. We acted constructively in trying to put amendments and new amendments, even put one to ask for more time, and was rejected. So we've acted with integrity. And so our party room can put a head on a pillow knowing that we went down there doing the right thing by the people that sent us there, to have the courage in that moment, despite the financial cost and anything else of title. We did it because we believed in something. And I would have thought that's what you expect of all 226 politicians that go to Canberra.
All right, that's the Nationals leader, David Littleproud, this morning. Thank you so much, David. We'll talk to you again soon.